Hello again, witchy people. This is not going to be the promised videos. This is it's kind of like a general VR to a lot of videos, but also just basically my opinion, and I am jumping on the bandwagon and talking plastic witchcraft and plastic witches. Now, over the past couple of days, rather than do the work I'm supposed to be doing, I've sat and watched quite a few videos, probably 12, 13, maybe more videos where this plastic witches or plastic witchcraft has been tagged in. And I should say I've tried to watch them, because out of all the videos that I tried to sit and watch, I've actually sat and watched beginning to end 2 or 3 of the ones that I have watched. And that's because they were the only ones that made any sense to me. Now, I'm not going to name names and berate people for their opinions, but I am going to give my opinion on those opinions. So it appears to me that this whole debate on plastic witchcraft is a two-sided attack that kind of meets in the middle. And the two-sided attack is one, that witches who are too concerned with the aesthetics and the consumerism of witchcraft and buy things are fake, they're plastic. And also plastic witches are plastic, they are fake and empty, they are void. And it's been said by a couple of people that I do agree with that this seems to be a subject that comes around quite often, although it's usually labelled something different, it's masked as something else. And we talk about fake witchcraft and how, aesthetic witchcraft, and how people are more concerned with buying things and how they appear. And yes, it does keep on coming back around, and it is time we kind of got over the whole thing, to be honest. The reason why I found this subject quite difficult, I felt like an outsider on the subject, which is why I decided to make this video, because I almost feel like I'm not part of the whole. And I guess, considering the amount that it has been talked about and replies on videos compared to the amount of videos made, other people must feel very much like me. They feel like an outsider looking in on this subject, because in some ways they feel like it doesn't really apply to them, or they don't care if it does apply to them. Not only would I be considered a plastic witch, because I do buy an awful lot of things, because I like things, I am a demon incarnate, according to a lot of people, because I am also one of those people that try to flog you wares as well. I am a seller as well as a buyer, so I try to make people into plastic witches. So I've got the dog and the cat trying to get in the door right now. Anyway, they're just going to keep putting me off. It's going to be really annoying. So I'm bad in both ways. However, I have sat and watched, like I said, quite a few of these videos where people have talked about how calling yourself a witch is a political statement, and that's how it should be. And I'm thinking, no. Maybe for that person, yes, of course it must have been a political statement for them to say this. It wasn't for me. I don't. If you see witchcraft in the same sense as a spiritual path which is akin to a religion, I suppose, then the last thing you should be doing is making a political statement, because you should never mix politics and religion shouldn't be mixed. Ideally. There's always going to be politics in everything, yes, but I didn't call myself a witch to make a political statement. It was just something that I am, in the same way that I just happen to be a woman, I just happen to be a witch, I just happen to have sometimes green eyes, I just happen to have been born in England, and I just happen to be a witch. It's kind of like, it's really hard to explain to someone who chose it rather than it choosing you. It's almost like witchcraft chose me. So it wasn't a political statement for me. It's simply a way of life, a way of being, a way of being me. It is me. Now, on top of that, some people have said that people take on the moniker of witch because they want to feel empowered. And that a lot of people are doing that. I don't agree with that either. Not for me, anyway. I didn't take on the moniker of witch because I wanted to feel empowered by it. If that was the case, I wouldn't have spent so long in the broom closet. The other thing I've noticed with these videos that so many I just had to turn off. You have people talking about consumerism and the aesthetics of witchcraft and how it was also wrong and how you shouldn't be buying the latest fashion or the latest witch gadget, whilst they were there with their witch jewellery and their witch clothing and their witch gothic-y makeup. So pick one or the other. If you're going to pick a side and start complaining about something, don't be the something that you're complaining about, because it's akin to stupidity in some ways, that you are ranting on about people and aesthetic witchcraft and consumerism witchcraft whilst being a part of it and not realising you're being a part of it. It's ridiculous. So that annoyed me. I think if we're going to use the expression and the term plastic witchcraft, then we all have to admit that to a certain degree we are all a little bit plastic. And I say that simply because there's probably not one of us who hasn't bought something. You know? Even down to the point where you could say you pay for your internet to do your research to find out about witchcraft. You're still you're buying your time on the internet, so you're still buying into something. But I don't think we should berate or exclude people or make them feel bad because they like to buy things or because they like to sell things. If you choose the name witch, you don't choose it, I believe, because you know you're picking for the aesthetics, because you're not picking an easy life. Not really. Many witches are considered not necessarily outsiders, but they are the different. They are the other. They are not the norm, shall we say. And that does make life difficult. So why would anyone pick to be a witch and choose to be a witch if, you know, just for the aesthetics of it, when it's going to make life so difficult? Anyway, that was just mainly it. I think we're all plastic, if that's what you want to say, but I think it's an absolute wrong term. I think it's people being picky when they really should be looking inwards and pointing at themselves. And it's just another reason for some of the community to either be jealous, maybe, or envious of popularity, and for people who have good business sense. I don't have good business sense. I have a shop and I try to sell things, I just don't do very well at it, and I certainly haven't made any money from it because just, you know, if I wanted to make money, things would be too expensive, let's put it that way. But everyone has bought something, everyone has devoted time or money or spent something on being a witch. So you can't point the finger, you know, and it just seems wrong that you seem to have this envy maybe of perhaps, I don't know, youth or riches or people that do have things that you don't. But like I said, you know, you can't complain and then do what you're complaining about. The other thing I did notice about a lot of videos, which is what really made me just stop watching it, I just stopped watching, is this idea that it just never seems to leave the mentality of some people that age has something to do with wisdom, that you are a plastic witch if you are a new witch because you're buying into witchcraft, you are buying into the aesthetics, you're buying things to give an outward appearance whilst not seriously taking the true meaning of what being a witch is inside. Once again, I disagree. It isn't cheap buying these things. You have to really want them and save, you know, because it's an expensive thing to do. And, you know, if you go mad at the pound store or the 99p store or Asda or Tesco's or wherever when it happens to be Halloween, then fair enough, or whatever the American equivalent is. But age has got nothing or very little to do with wisdom and knowledge. And, you know, you can be 70 and suddenly discover witchcraft and decide that's what you want as part of your life or part of who you are. Or you can, I mean, like me, I was born into the path that I follow, but I was born as I am. My viewpoints and beliefs have changed very, very little over the years. So I don't think obviously I've gained more knowledge. I wouldn't say I was any more wise now than when I was in my 20s. It's just, it shouldn't make a difference. Age is irrelevant when it comes to wisdom and knowledge, because some people don't learn, some people don't like to learn, some people refuse to learn, some people find it very difficult to learn and can't take on that knowledge and change. So just because you're young and just starting out doesn't make you a plastic witch. And that annoyed me that I heard that, and I know I am rambling on. This was supposed to be a 10-minute video and it's a lot longer than 10 minutes now. But I wanted to make it clear that for the most part, I think this is a rehash of, definitely in part, of other problems that some people have, that's been talked about before and discussed before. And I think for the most part, in my opinion, a lot of people are wrong because they're putting all people in one basket and saying you're all the same. And I would expect that from outside of the community. But to me, if you are accusing other people of being a plastic witch, then you are somehow putting yourself in your own mind above these people. You think that you are better than they are, and you would be wrong. So it is a rehash. It keeps on coming up again and again, just changes the title slightly, changes the name slightly, but the basics are still the same. And, you know, I don't like to say you're wrong, but if you're accusing someone of being a plastic witch, you're wrong. It's a moniker, it's a phrase that shouldn't even be out there. And think twice, because if you're accusing someone of being a plastic witch, then maybe you're out there being the same, you just don't realise it. And like I said, if it is this two-pronged approach of being empty and vapid and fake and buying into the aesthetics and the consumerism of witchcraft, sort of meeting in the middle, that's what a plastic witch is, then we've all been there. And as most witches will tell you, you don't need things to be a witch, to practice witchcraft, but it is nice to have them. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, we like to surround ourselves with not only things that we find pleasing to the eye and beautiful, but things that comfort us and make us feel as though we do belong. And to try, for one set of people to try and disassociate others and make them almost like an unwanted part of witchcraft by saying you're a plastic witch and setting them to one side is wrong. And that's just it. So I've rambled enough. I'm going to be quiet now and hopefully get back to making something that makes a bit more sense. Like I said, I feel like I am on the outside looking in, because I don't feel that being a witch was a choice I made. To not be a witch could be a choice I could make. But I don't think it's ever going to happen. I just can't see myself. It's just who I am. It's not even part of who I am. It is who I am. So I found it quite difficult to see where some people were coming from, and how their point of view made much sense. And once again, I do think it is a very small minority of our community who want to, in some ways, perhaps believe that they are better than others, and this is just a way to do it, and it's wrong. That's it. I'm going now. Thank you for watching, witchy people, and bye bye for now. I will be back very soon.